Hello there, my name is Michael NARANJO and welcome to Real Music Works. Today I'm going to talk about band life, and band operations was sort of a very brand new thing for me, brand new scenario. Up to this point I've only had performed between 2000 and between 1997 and 1999, I'd always had performed with a produced backtrack, mixed and mastered by the original artists. The only thing was my vocals were taken off for me to perform them live, whether it was in a church or a festival or out there. I would have these, and Michael NARANJO Believe and Turning Point. Those backtracks would obviously be something that I would have had with me all the time. The only stick with it I found was there wasn't much freedom. So if you want to ring out, you can't because the backtrack would end. So it was backtrack 1, 2, 3 and go. So you can't, like, in the middle of the song just walk to the side of the stage and let the band play while you're trying to communicate and create a real interactive sort of situation with your band. And also, this was one of my first jobs. One of my first real jobs I had at Music Fest. And Donnie Jr., Donnie Sr. was his dad, obviously, had allowed me to come and work there. And being there, I was around great human beings like Justin Kruger and Donnie, and there was a group of people that were, there was a music store that got behind festivals, that got behind events, that were really helping the community, because you had some stores that had very high-end equipment, and it's unreachable for most people to kind of, especially if it's your first time buying a guitar or drum kit or something, or, taking your foot and touching the water, if you like the music thing, that is not an expensive investment. I felt the Music Fest had a genre of instruments that were really good, that could handle the job, that weren't too expensive, and they also had great, back in the day, there was accounts, you could get something and then pay it off, and then etc., etc. But back in the day, when I was in that store, I was also in a period of, I think I was engaged at this point, and we started a band called Alma Rose, which is actually taken from a song from Ken Tamplin, called Alma Rose, and the story behind it was a lady by the name of Alma Rose who used to play the violin to comfort the people in the times of the concentration camps. That was kind of the feel that I got, that, okay, cool, we're making music, that's a great theme, we're making music to soothe the soul for people that are going through hard times. At this particular point in time, we've maybe done some recordings with Paris Lucas or Parazanos in Paris Studios in Fishhoek, Museburg in South Africa, and we got together and we did a song called Where Is God. It was about where is God, all this. There was a song called Friends. We were all like banding together, and Michelle was backing vocals and percussion at the time, and she also had the ability to play the bass. I taught her how to play the bass. But Donnie was handling the bass, Justin was handling the guitar, the drums, I was handling the guitars, and Michelle was doing backing vocals, and I would call them percussion or shakers. So for us, it was a very serious Christian scenario. I felt that I was hooking up with a store that was backing a lot of events and stuff like that, like festivals like JC Rocks. They would part sponsorship, they would help with some of the equipment, or maybe some finances towards it, sort of thing. So Uncle Donnie, thank you very much. I think all of us, wherever we are in our lives today, we've got a lot to thank you for allowing us to work in your store. Was a strict uncle, but he had a huge heart. So it was wonderful. So at that point in time, we were all in church, the same church together. At that point, it was called Tableview, AG in Tableview. And that's where I met Michelle, and that's where we kind of started this band. That's where Justin and Donnie were all going to church. So it was sort of this was the direction we were going into, and the festivals that had other cool bands, Soul Tattoo, 316, JC. The festival was called JC Rocks, and then they had other events going on. And it was just great to know that we had a guy like Donnie who was able to get us on the bill, get us, in there as well. Donnie had followed my music, also my first and second album. He knew that I was a solo artist. I had some music award nominations, and I had opened up for a band called Petra in '95 at the 3 Arts Theatre in their God Fixation tour. So there was a lot of hope. I mean, there were great bands, Cloud9, Peculiar People, Naked Lyric, Tamarind Seed. I can carry on. There's all these, there was the New Song Festival that we were, so this was all pre-One Day Remains, pre-7 Day Story, the very first time being with a band, the drummer doing his drum parts at a studio. We hadn't done anything with a click at this point. It was all pure instinct, pure intuition. A lot of I think I still have the demo lying somewhere with the original photo. But then we made 1,000 posters. We got 1,000 posters. I think we only got to use like 100 of them, and the rest were all just like novelty, or we used it for furniture. When you move, you wrap your dishes with it. But what I noticed, we all have sunglasses on the shoot. I don't know, maybe the light was too bright or something, but here we are. Justin also after this ends up following. He also was in his own. For me, it was like one of the guys from the bands that I used to watch at the Donnie A. Spark is actually playing with us in Alma Rose. For me, it was such a big thing, and Justin had such a dry sense of humor. Then I had a guy on the other side, it was Donnie, who believed a lot in what we could do and how we could get around and get it somehow, very good with typing, very good with trying to get marketing going. So we really had a good structure, but really no experience whatsoever. I would say a lot of, premature, or just a lot of ego, a lot of, especially from my side, I thought I was the bee's knees. I thought nobody could touch me. I was very, I believe, overconfident and an overachiever, I would think. I think maybe just too much. I think I took on more than what I could bite off. So I couldn't, I had all these riffs and ideas where instead I should have been selling guitars or stuff out, I was playing riffs and working them out. So after hours, we'd all set up sound. When Uncle Donnie would do set up sound at this shopping center. Shopping center clears out. We were the last ones to be there, and we would just start jamming. So guys like, Brett Palmer, who was in the Benjamin Gate, also it was working at the store, and we ended up sort of myself. Justin at that point had moved on and played in other bands, and so myself and Donnie and Brett Palmer would be the guys to be the founding members of One Day Remains, and that's kind of how all of those things started. Donnie and I, we were following the Benjamin Gate, who came from PE. And they made it big in Nashville, got signed to Forefront Records, going on tour with a lot of the, very big Christian contemporary artists in the 90s and in the 2000s. And Brett was part of that. And when he came back, he was, working with us. And Justin at that point wasn't working at the store. And it was basically Donnie and myself approaching Brett to find out if we could, do something. At that point, I had already been divorced from Michelle. We were kids when we got married, very young. But I cannot discount the fact that we all started from somewhere, and regardless of environment or situations, I think this was a really warm and such a time of adventure, to be honest. We were invited by Dr. David Malapo to go and do something at the Lighthouse for the youth bash. People were calling us to go and do stuff for them, and it was really cool, So the lesson I take from this is, if it's your first time starting a band and you're a singer-songwriter and you haven't even touched in the pool of engineering and producing and all that, but you're from the band point of view, First is compromising with the other human beings around you, regardless if you're the songwriter or the arranger or whatever. It's important to pull everybody in. Alter Bridge did it quite nicely, even though Mark Tremonti and Miles write most of the songs. It's been divided into, 25, 25, 25, 25, and they were able to somehow administer some sort of working formula in publishing in that sort of sense. So for them it works. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, check us on the online platforms, and remember to take good care of yourself and always pay attention. If it's your first time in a band, take it easy, don't rush into things. This is NARANJO for Real Music Works.